Continuing on with our Cyborg project, today we're going to learn how to remove something from its background. We're going to first start by turning off our top layer, which is the one which we distorted. And we're going to go to our second from the top layer, which is our main subject. And we are going to remove our main subject from the background. In order to do that, we need to select our main subject. There are a lot of selection tools at the top of your toolbar. For this one, probably the quick selection tool is going to work best. And the quick selection tool works by clicking and dragging, and Photoshop is looking for similar pixels. So you'll notice it just moved out and it stopped where it hit this brown color. And so I can continue clicking and dragging. Every once in a while I'm going to let go, get this eyebrow. And every time I let go, I can get back to that spot. So once I feel a good selection has happened, like right there, I'm going to let go of my mouse because I know I can always get back to that spot. And I'm just going to continue clicking and dragging, and I want to get my entire subject. So you don't want to select just the head. Now if you're doing an endoskeleton, this will be the picture of you. So if you're doing the Terminator specifically, you will be removing yourself from the background, not the Terminator. The Terminator should be on your top layer and it should be turned off. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to click and drag. And you'll notice with this particular image, I really don't want these brown areas in here, but it's selecting them anyway. So I will need to go back at some point and fix that. And I'm going to show you how you can do that. So I'm just going to actually select the whole thing because it's going to want to do that anyway. I've worked with this image before. Another thing I wanted to point out to you guys about this is that if I zoom in really close on the chin here, it's not a great selection on the edge. And I'm going back to quick select. I can change the size of this with my bracket keys. So left bracket, it's just like the paintbrush, will decrease and right bracket will increase. And that, when I have it smaller, it's looking for less pixels. So it's not looking for such a large area. It's looking for a smaller area of those pixel colors. And that might help. Okay, so that went out a little bit. Now to pull it back in, you want to hold Option. And notice when I hold Option, that plus changes to a minus, and I can just drag that back in. Okay, so the edge is going to be a little bit tough here. It's not sure what I'm looking for. All right, so once I have a pretty decent selection, I want to start getting rid of these inside brown areas. Okay, and one thing I can do, I'm going to increase that size again. I'm going to hold Option and then drag inside this area. Sometimes that works really nicely, sometimes not so much. I'm having a little bit of a hard time right there. Let me try it up here and see if I get a better result. Okay, so that was a little bit of a better result. So go into the areas and get the ones that you can, and then we have yet another thing. I'm going to Command Z actually because I didn't like the way that that did that, but we have another tool available to help us with some of these areas. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you, when you get it pretty much as good as you can get it with the quick selection tool, I want you to come down where your foreground and background colors are on your toolbar, and just below that, that's called a quick mask. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and you'll notice then part of my image is turning red, and also on my layers panel, the layer I'm on has this red highlight to it. That tells me I'm on a quick mask. So if you ever see a red highlight over here on your layers panel, it means that you accidentally clicked that if you didn't mean to. All right, and while I'm on this quick mask, I'm going to be using the colors black and white to paint in or paint out my selection. It's like a layer mask, but it works a little bit differently because you do it in quick mask mode, and it's specifically for a selection. While on the quick mask, I need to go to my paintbrush. So I'll be using my paintbrush to paint in or paint out the selection. Go to your paintbrush settings up in the Tools Options panel and go to a hard brush. So right now I'm on a soft brush with 0% hardness. I'm going to click over to a hard brush with 100% softness, and I want to double check and make sure that my opacity up here is at 100 and my flow is at 100. That's going to be really important, or you're not going to get a great result on this. Then I can zoom into the area where I want to work, and I'm going to get rid of this part of this area because I don't want that. I do want this selected, and so I'm going to paint out the red there. So while on my paintbrush, if I paint white, and again the brackets will increase or decrease this brush size, so painting white will add to my selection, and then if I just hit the toggle over here, painting black will take away from my selection. So anything I don't want selected, I'm going to paint with this black color, which will appear as red over here on the quick mask. Okay, and I'm just going to work on this for a little while, and I will speed up through this process. Okay, once you get this how you want it, you're going to then hit quick mask again, and you'll see that your selection is only on your subject or wherever you took away that red paint. Wherever you had the red, it's now not the selection, or that's the part that is not selected. Okay, so once you have that, you're going to go back to any selection tool. So I'm just going to go back to the quick select tool. And when you click on a selection tool and you go to the tools option panel, you'll notice an option called select and mask. We're going to choose that selection. And that's going to show us, give us a little preview of what our selection looks like. And I can turn my transparency down or up. And if I turn it all the way up to 100%, it's going to show me what my image looks like on a white background. If you have some really rough areas, you could smooth it, but I'm going to say keep this under 10. So smooth it as much as you want, between 0 and 10. Let's not use feather or contrast at this point. And then the next thing I want you to do is go to where it says output to, and I want you to output to a new layer with a layer mask, and then say OK. All right, and you can see that now you have a layer mask on that layer. So the white area is allowing your subject to show through, and the black area is hiding whatever background it was on. And since you're on a layer mask, if I'm on the layer mask, so here I'm on the layer, here I'm on the layer mask, I can still continue to clean up this selection. So if I don't like the way this looks, it looks a little bit rough right here on the side of her face, I can paint black to hide or paint white to show. You can clean that up as much as you want to at this point. And let's say I go a little bit too far. Remember, you can switch to white and bring that edge back, or bring anything back that you want to. Okay, so playing around with that, just whatever time you have, just get that edge looking as clean as possible, but you don't want to remove too much of your subject either. So you want to keep as much as your subject as you can with a nice clean edge. Okay, that is going to be it for today. I'm going to hit Command 0 to fit that back on page. Make sure that you save this. I want you to spend probably a good whole class period, or it will probably take a good whole class period for you to get your subject removed well from its background. And this is a really important skill and something that a Photoshopper does all the time. And so it's a good practice for you. And this is the first time that I'm actually requiring that you do this for a project. So I want you to do your best work on that. And next time we'll be finishing up our project and submitting.